Welcome, Capital One card holders, and congratulations for winning this exclusive Q&A with Coach Laviolette, presented by Capital One, the official bank and credit card of the Washington Capitals. Before we get started, a few housekeeping items. Everyone will be placed on mute, just so there's no mishaps or any accidents that people go on mute while we're trying to have the Q&A. I've received all of your questions ahead of time. So a couple of them have been modified a little bit for clarity purposes, but we'll get to at least one of each of your guys' questions. And when I'm saying the question, I'll say the name of who it's from, and feel free to give a little bit wave to the camera so that Coach Lavi can see who's asking the question. If you guys want to see just Coach and myself, you can change your Zoom view to just speakers. But if you want to see everyone that's here, feel free to keep it on gallery. It's just kind of whatever everyone's preference is. All right. Let's get started. First, Coach Lavi, how are you doing?
Doing great, thank you. Good to be on here and spend some time with our Capitals fans. So it's, we can't do much right now where everybody's separated still and we're in different places, but it's great to say hi and be on here.
And where are you coming to us from today?
So I live down in Florida on the West Coast. We've had a house here since my first job with the Islanders back in 2003, and I got tired of changing my license and changing my license plates and registering to vote in different places. And so now we've been Florida residents since 2003, and we really enjoyed it down here. So we get to come down in the summer, and someday it'll be a retirement home. And I've found when I've been between jobs, we end up down here as well. So it's really served its purpose.
And have you gotten a chance to come up to DC yet to look around the areas for houses yet? If not, do you have plans to do that soon?
So we bought a house. We're closing on it probably in about 10 days.
Exciting.
When I interviewed for the job, I was in New Hampshire. If you remember, I posted that flag at our family lake house, and we were there dropping my kids off for school and getting them settled back in the fall, early in the fall. And we needed to get going. We drove up because my daughter was a freshman at Boston College, and she had some stuff. My son was already settled, and he had been there at Plymouth State. He's a senior. And so we just went up there to get them settled, especially my daughter at Boston College being a freshman, and we ended up staying up there for a little bit to get out of the Florida heat. And everything really unfolded with regard to the interview and the job and becoming part of the Washington Capitals family. So when we drove back down, we made it a point to stop in Arlington. We were there for 4 days. We saw as much as we could. We knew we wanted to live in Arlington near the rink and really just be close to things. And so we found a house, and we're closing on it, like I said, in probably 10 to 12 days.
What are your thoughts on the DMV area? Obviously, you've been there when you've been with visiting teams, but now that you got a chance to spend a couple of days longer, what were your thoughts?
I mean, I was there a lot longer when I was coaching in the East. It seems when you move to the West, you're there really not that much. It's so infrequent that you're there. I got to spend a little bit of time at the practice facility when I was with the Olympic team in 2014, and I think through a rookie camp, maybe we came in for a couple days and watched some rookie tournament games. But I really got a chance to get out and see how great of a city Arlington is. We're all really excited just to get back because there's so much history and so much tradition in the DC area. And I think I used to go on class trips from Massachusetts down and take in different sites and monuments, and it was really cool, some of the things I was able to do. But now to live there and be a part of the community is really exciting. We're back on the East Coast where we're excited to be. Nashville was great. It was the Western Conference and a lot of travel. It's nice to be back on the East Coast. We're from Massachusetts. My kids go to school on the East Coast, and we're just excited to be back where we feel like we're close to home.
Definitely. All right, we're going to get to some of these card holder questions. We're going to, like I said, reminder, you can wave to the camera if you guys want, so Coach knows that it's your question. We're going to start out with Gregory from Vienna, and his question is, what are the plans for the newly acquired players to gel with the veterans?
Well, I think that's a great question. We picked up some, I really feel like, getting Henrik in goal to solidify our goaltending, and We've got young goalies in place, and there'll be a great battle at camp. I thought Brian did a really good job of just working on the back end, and to get Dylan back under contract, and then Schultz, who's an offensive defenseman, under contract, and then Van Riemsdyk for depth. I thought that adding these three players would just help solidify our back end. So it was a really good job at free agency. We got young players that are going to come in and try to make our team. I think once you get to that point where, you get the players through training camp and you actually bring it down to a group of 22 or 23 or 24, depending on injuries and stuff like that, you get a chance to build your team and work on that from the inside. And, kind of like practice or travel schedules, practice schedules, you got to plan things inside of your locker room to continue to grow your team so that they can become stronger as a unit inside the room before they take the ice. So I look forward to a lot of team building, a lot of meetings and getting the guys together, counting on the leaders and the leadership group to help bring that together as well. Welcome these players in, make them feel like they're a part of the team.
All right, next we have Jesse from Arlington. With Ovechkin being an all-time great, is there another player from the past you wish you had the chance to coach?
I've every time I've gone somewhere, I've just loved working with the players, and every team has been different, different challenges, different strengths, different weaknesses. But Alex is he's in a league that really sets him apart as somebody who's been able to produce offense in the National Hockey League, and some of the best that's ever played the game. And to be able to work, I've had a lot of good conversations, a couple good conversations with Alex, a lot of good conversations with the team. I'm excited to come in here and work with him and work with the players that we have now and try to push ourselves back up the ladder to where we want to be. But, you could ask me questions about Wheeling, West Virginia, and the first job that I ever had in the East Coast Hockey League, and I'll tell you some great stories about some of the players. Now, they weren't Alex Ovechkin, but they were good players, and we built a good team, and we made it all the way to the conference finals and lost in overtime in the final game before one series before the finals. So I've got great memories and great stories about that. I think, when you're a coach and you're a family that moves into a community, it's about making that team really special and getting to know those players. And they're all, like I said, they're all different, but for me, they're all pretty awesome and great to be a part of.
Next, we have Evan from Olney. What ideas might you have to improve the power play? It's been a strong suit for the Caps in the past. So how do you get it back to that?
So it's been I talked to the coaches that were in place, and I feel really fortunate to work with such good coaches, and they have been statistically through their career. Scott Arniel is a guy who's been a head coach. He's got a lot of experience. He took over the penalty kill, and looking back at it and watching the penalty kill, they were up in the top 5 the entire year. I think they finished 5th or 6th for the season. And so feel fortunate to work with a guy like him. Blaine Forsythe's been in charge of the power play for the last 8 years. And you can't, and this is just my opinion of looking at statistics, you can't just look at one bad year or, not one bad year, 1 year that's off and say, okay, that's no good anymore. I believe that they were around 19.5% last year. And the difference between 19.5% and being ranked 17th in the league and being 20.5% and being top 10 in the league is a few goals that need to go in. And statistically, you go back and you look at how effective they have been as a power play group and the good things that Blaine has done. You want to go back and get back to the bigger picture, which was all 8 years where they're ranked number 1 or number 2 in the league throughout that time. And you want to give that a chance to get back on track. So there's been a lot of good things that the coaches that are in place have done. We're able to add Kevin McCarthy, who's going to be in charge of the defense and the defensemen and running the defense. And he's had his hand in a lot of different things as well. So I feel like this coaching staff is in a really good place. I feel like the power play has an opportunity with a new coach and a lot of history that says it's proven success to get back in a direction where, you're pushing for top 10, you're working towards top 5, and ultimately you want to be one of the best in the league. So I feel like the pieces are there.
Kind of along the same vein, this one's from Jean Marie from Alexandria. How do you plan to try and improve the defense from last season?
Well, for me, I think some of the pieces that we added, are going to be important to do that. I want to, when I look at the 5-on-5 game, and not necessarily looking backwards, but looking forward, I want to make sure that we're on the attack, that we're in the offensive end. I feel like the teams that I have coached in the past have been difficult to play against. If we can play smart, getting pucks out of our end and through the neutral zone and get it into the offensive zone, and have established an identity, an offensive identity on how we're going to play the game, how we're going to stay in the offensive zone, you find yourself playing less defense. And there's no question that, we can be better defensively. And I feel comfortable with the coaches we have in place, the players we have in place, that this can happen as well. I feel like we need to, you want to attack, you want to play offense, you want to push towards the offensive end, but at the end of the day, you've got to be able to play good defense, and defense ultimately can win championships. So you need to be good in both ends of the ice.
All right. Andrew from Frederick asks, how do you plan on creating the necessary balance between letting the star players perform while also cultivating the young talent in the organization?
Yeah, I mean, that's what training camp is for. I mean, players are coming in. I don't really have an agenda. I told some of the players, like, I don't have a lineup. I don't have a line. There's opportunity and there's room for players to come in and make a case for what they want to do. And you often find that these things take care of themselves. And I talk to a lot of the veteran players. These are good people, and I can't see that being an issue. Usually it isn't inside of a locker room, a young player coming in or young players coming in. But that goes back to the first question that I talked about too. Like, that's your job to build your team. It's a responsibility before you even drop the puck, and that you're working on it continually through the year, that you're making sure that you work to make sure that your team is a group and a solid unit. And that includes the young players as well. So when we get to training camp, we'll find out if any young players are ready to crack the lineup. And if they are, I'm sure that the veteran group and the players that I've talked to, they'll make sure that they welcome whoever it is in.
All right. Russell from Gambrills, what do you think the biggest challenge will be for the team this year?
I would imagine this is probably for every team. I think it's the uncertainty right now that we're dealing with. Everybody's training has been altered through the course of the summer. Their season has been altered. I'm speaking to you from right now from Florida. Like, I should be on a road trip to, down to play Tampa in Florida, not living in my house 1 hour south of Tampa. So I think that the challenge is going to be just to be able to handle whatever comes our way this season with regard to the world and COVID and what's going on with that. And so just being able to adapt and to adjust could be any number of scenarios. We just got to be able to adjust and be ready to play no matter what the scenario is.
David from Durwood, given the strong likelihood of minimal or no fans in attendance at Capital One Arena this season, what steps will you take to replace the extra morale the fans bring to the team?
That's a tough one. I mean, the one thing that you hear from people leaving the bubble, and they did a great job of executing the playoffs and getting to a Stanley Cup champion. And you got to applaud the league for the way that they handled that. And the one thing that you hear leaving that is just how weird it was not playing in front of fans. I mean, that's what we've been. I mean, ever since you were a kid, you were 6 years old, there was still 50 people or 100 people in a small rink cheering you on, and your mother up there with a cowbell, shaking the cowbell, and rattling your name or whatever. You hear your dad booming and yelling in the background. Like we've grown up accustomed and used to playing in front of fans. I really don't know how you replace that. That I always say that when things are equal, everybody's got to deal with it the same. So it's not like just the Washington Capitals don't get fans. If there's no fans, there's no fans anywhere, and that's all teams will have to deal with that. But hopefully that we keep moving in positive directions with regard to getting past this, and the fans are allowed back in the building, because at the end of the day, that's ultimately what makes sporting events. The event, as you can tell just from what players were saying when they left the bubble, that it was just weird without the fans. The experience is the fans and the fan base and the energy that they bring to the building. And I wish I could tell you that there was a way to replace that, but there probably isn't. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed for things to keep moving in the right direction. And hopefully soon enough, our fans will be back in our building and in all buildings cheering on the teams, which is what makes sports so great.
Definitely. Okay, Brian from Brockville, how are you keeping players engaged when the start date of the next season hasn't been decided yet?
Yeah, I mean, I had conversations today with a couple of players and just trying to reach out. The other coaches are reaching out and talking to the players as well. And that's really all you can do at this point. Like, there's a lot of work to be done, especially, for me coming in with new thoughts and new ideas on how we're going to play the game and wanting to get in there and build the team like we talked about. All of this is really just on hold right now, and it makes it much more challenging and much more difficult. But right now I'm just communicating with the players and just reaching out, talking to 2 or 3 players a day, just staying in touch with them. And there might come a date at some point where players start to release back to the rink and they start training together and working out, and at least they're back together. And then hopefully coaches and full staffs can come back in and start working with the players. But right now it's just communication the way we're doing it right now.
Tony from Baltimore asks, having made it through a number of teams in the Metro Division, with the better part of it going against Alex Ovechkin, how excited are you to be on the same bench with him?
Yeah, we talked about that. When I first had a conversation with Alex, I said, because when I was a young coach, he was coming into the league, and I was I've spent a lot of years in Carolina, and it seemed like Carolina and Washington were playing every other night. And Alex came into the league, and I remember saying, I feel like it's nice to be with you. I feel like I've been coaching against you forever. And he says, I feel like you've been coaching against me forever. So I don't know if that was a knock on my age or what, but he's had such a tremendous career. He's done a really good job of leading this team, and they found success in 2018. And when you find success, and it doesn't happen again, it makes you almost unsettled that you haven't gotten back there and you haven't found it again. And that's the vibe that I get when I speak to the veteran players and I speak to a guy like Alex, that we're all on the same page, that there's work to be done, and I'm really looking forward to working with him.
Molly from Alexandria, how do you plan to get a more balanced offense this season that produces depth scoring?
Well, the teams that I have coached in the past, I mean, I roll the lines. I believe that you need 4 lines, especially with the season that you're not sure how it's going to be played out and how many games you're going to have to play inside of a week, and how pressing that schedule might be. I think it's really important to be able to utilize your whole bench. But, typically the teams that I have coached in the past, I think the past 4 organizations over my time being there are top 10 in goal scoring. And it's not all, it doesn't just come from one player on the top line or one player on the back end. I think that there's a contribution from everybody on the ice. And really that's when you can become really dangerous, when you don't just rely on one player, when you get a balance and a balanced attack through your lineup. And like I said, we got a lot of work to do, but eventually we'll get there through training camp and we'll get this in place. And if we can attack in waves over the bench and score goals through the balance of our lineup, including the back end, we're going to be more difficult to play against.
Jeff from Elk Ridge, how do you motivate a mature team that has so many veteran players?
Yeah, I've always found that people want to be motivated. It doesn't matter if they're veteran players or if they're brand new to the league and it's game number 1. I've found that players, they want to get excited. They want to have a plan. They want to be prepared. They want to be successful. My job as a coach is to figure out a way to do that, to find a hook in a game, to make sure that we're ready, to make sure that we're prepared, to make sure that we have a good game plan. But then to every game to go in and try to get these players to feel like that that game's the most important game of the season, and that's the job of the head coach. And so I feel like I've found success doing that. I feel like it's a strength of mine, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't not once this summer have I sat here and said, boy, I really don't know how I'm going to get these guys up off the bench and get them ready to play. I'll be ready to go. They'll be ready to go. We'll get the fans back in the building soon, and they'll be ready to go, and we'll rock the building soon enough.
Andrew from North Bethesda asked, what's your plan to balance the goalie workload?
Yeah, again, I think this is gonna work itself out. Just like the the lines and the balance of the scoring. I think that we're fortunate. We're able to find a real good veteran goaltender in Henrik, and we've got a real promising young player in Samsonov, and these two guys are going to compete against each other. And in today's game, you find that the days might be going by the wayside of one goaltender playing 72 games or 68 games, and you find that it's more of a balance and counting on each other. And I feel like Henrik coming in is going to provide the right leader inside of the room, especially for a young goalie, because that Henrik has made a career of practicing the right way, playing the right way, doing the right things. And you got a young goaltender down the other end, and he'll be following that as well. But when it comes to ice time, we're going to let this play out a little bit, and both goaltenders will be needed. Both goaltenders will play. I'm excited to work with somebody who's had as much success in the league as Henrik, and I'm equally excited to work with such a young prospect like Samsonov. He's off to a great start in his career.
And this last one is from Brian from Brandywine. What can be done to minimize the learning curve that comes with implementing a new system and style of play?
Yeah, I mean, for sure there is a little bit of a learning curve, because the things that we're going to talk about are they might be different than. I think there's a lot of muscle memory when it comes to the game. And, if you just to simplify it, if you've always been a one-man forecheck or a 1-2-2, and now all of a sudden you're going to be ultra aggressive with a two-man forecheck, and your D are going to be pinching walls and up the ice all the time, there's a pause and then a thinking process, and then an actual reaction. And you've got to get past that pretty quick. It's a great question. The more you do it, I believe in repetition. I don't believe in 100 drills. I believe in 12 drills. And inside of those 12 drills, they're all related to the system, and you do them over and over and bring them into the game, and you learn from the games, and then break down the games, and then bring it back to practice. And I think just through repetition, you work on implementing that. But there's no question that, in the first exhibition game of the year, there'll be, when it comes to the forecheck, one guy will look at the next guy and, am I going, or are you going? And then we've got to get past that as a team, and we will through time, I think, through practice and through playing games.
All right, that's all the time we have. Thank you to all of our Capital One card holders for joining. A reminder, you'll all be receiving a Capitals player signed canvas, so keep an eye out for that. And to learn more about all the benefits that Capital One card holders enjoy, visit CapitalOne.com/access. And also, there might be some more exclusive opportunities coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. Lastly, we invite everyone to come off mute to thank Coach Laviolette for joining us today and wishing him the best of luck next season.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Go Caps.
Coach.
Thank you.